a.m. Today is Thursday, July 16th, 2026. It is now 9 a.m. We're here for a special session of the Hunt County Commissioners Court. This time I'll call the meeting to order. We have Commissioner Money, Monroe, Smith, and Harrison present. I'm Judge Stovall presiding over the meeting. This time we'll have public testimony. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes and should conduct themselves in a civil manner. The Commissioners Court cannot take action on items not listed on the agenda in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Concerns will be addressed by county staff. They may be placed on a future agenda or addressed by some other course of response. Does anybody wish to speak at this time? It's not going to be presenting. Being none, I'll close the public testimony. No old business, new business, action item B, number 1. Fiscal year 2026-2027 budget. Commissioners, anybody got any comments before we get started? Nobody? All right, J.P. Linden.
Good morning.
Morning.
The Justice Court Precinct 1, Place 2 budget. The only line I am increasing was for the training and schools is 5.5 months from now. I am retiring. And Judge Stovall, you're feeling my joy. So I am increasing that by $1,000. From $1,000 to $2,000. The judge that is taking my place, he will be going through 3 stages of training starting in December. He'll have a training in December, January, and March. Those trainings will be in San Marcos. So the travel that it is going to be now, so he's going to be traveling quite a bit. Legislative session is also going to be next year for the chief clerk, and I guess him if he chooses to do that also. And then I also do have my clerks go to an annual training, all of them. Just if your clerks don't get trained, your office is not a good office to me. So that's why the increase of the travel allowance for training in schools and $1,000, just because it's going to be, the budget does need to be increased for that. And then the bonds, errors, and omissions, I don't know, that's the $200 for his bond. I'm assuming that's where that goes. Mm-hmm. And that was the only changes for that. That's the only changes I made in my budget.
Just curiosity, the requirement for the incoming, those are required?
They are required for him to take the office.
Thank you.
Do you know your balance on your DDC fund, what the balance of your money is today?
No,
or Bernice, can you look it up?
They said it was only Fund 10 that we were here for today, so.
I understand, but your Fund 10 with the training can be paid for out of DDC. So
yeah.
I was looking to see if we couldn't increase the DDC.
To me, that's a requirement. I am doing that too because him taking office, we're going to have to do business cards over, signs all over the building, and the windows, all of my ME forms, magistrate forms, green forms. There's a lot of things that are also going to have to be done that I'm not increasing any of my other funds for. I'm not increasing the operating supplies. I did do the training for $1,000. It's going to be a lot more than that for the trainings. I did not increase my operating supplies at all, and there's a lot more things that are going to have to be paid just to update all of our forms, the stuff around the building, signs. I didn't increase anything other than the training for this, but I mean, I didn't ask for anything other than the training because that is a mandatory thing that he's going to have to go through.
We appreciate it. Now we understand that, but if we got DDC funds available,
I do have.
Then
I do, and I use that for quite a bit in my office. But there's plenty of funds there too. Yes.
Well, we're trying to get the budget as low as we can so we can give raises. Yeah. So if we can take
there's plenty of funds there too, and I do use those, and I use those for training also and
okay.
office supplies. So.
All right. Any other questions?
Just thank you for holding the line.
Yeah. That's all. That's all I had today.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Or good. You got the number up yet, Bernice? Okay, her DDC fund has 68,127,112, which those funds are restricted, and those are under their discretion. Is that, the DDC funds are totally under your discretion, or the court still has discretion over them? Both? Okay. So, commissioners that know we got that much money in there, her budget's not large. We're not going to save a whole lot out of this budget, but anything we can save would be something. So, any comments on that?
Do we know how much gets spent annually out of the DDC fund?
Well, she got a budget for it of, y'all should have a copy of it. She's budgeting about 17,000.
Okay.
All right. Ms. Cochran, are you presenting or is Aubrey presenting? Are you going to present your budget or is Aubrey?
I'm going to take the challenge.
All right, good.
Been looking forward to this.
Hold back the question. Good morning, court. It's a little
Morning.
subdued in here today, but I've got my presentation. I want to tell you a little bit about what audit does before I get right into the budget. Providing I can get this thing to work.
Here comes Tyler.
Well, so much for presentation.
Great presentation.
You'll pump it for them? I can. Okay. All right, back to audit where everything goes seamless. This is just a little bit about the department. I think most everyone knows, but just in case, there's compliance issues, accountability. What are our main functions? Accounting, reporting, the general ledger, the annual financial report's extremely important for the people looking in on how we've spent money. Looking at the grants, making sure that we've covered compliance with those. We look at all the claims and disbursement of funds going through the Hunt County.
Mary, you need to speak into the mic.
Whoops, is that better?
Yeah, there you go.
I don't hear anyway, so I didn't know if y'all could or not.
Well, we're worried about the people online.
All right, now to the budget. This is what we turned in for our requested budget. I did a comparison between 26-27 versus 25-26. We're down $650 less than we were, which is about a 4% of our expenditures. But this doesn't show the whole story, so when we go to the next slide, now I've done a comparison. No? All right. On 26-27, I've gone ahead and added in as if nothing changed in the labor categories, just so you can see a comparison of what happened between current year and the next fiscal year. We were at 510,000 as the bottom line. We're currently, if we stayed status quo, we'd be at 484. That's almost a with the expenditures, a $26,000 decrease because of a loss of a senior employee. Now, labor is 96% of the budget. So when we just look at the expenditures for operational needs, they're 4%. So there's not much you can cut in that section when we're looking at the budget, but we are coming in at a $26,000 less than we were this current year.
So it's really tied to a senior wage versus otherwise.
Yes. Now, because labor is such an integral part and the largest part of the budget, I think it's worth explaining about wages, benefits. What are the benefits? Those are our health insurance, our retirement, our tax rolls. And in our department, for every dollar spent, 71% goes to the labor, 29% goes to benefits. Why is this important? Benefits and salaries matter. In our department, we do have some longevity. Got Aubrey in here, first audit assistant's been here for 7 years. Our financial audit manager has 18 years in Hunt County, and our cash compliance, Brenda, has 16 years right in audit department. So they've added a huge amount of value to what we do. And budgets, yep, they boost our workplace morale and they increase employee retention, as this one is showing. We go to the next one. All right, the audit department, we do have key expectations and we have directives. We also have established goals for this next coming year. They're relevant in everything we do. It's all about compliance, professional development, work paper documentation. You know, all this keeps the county, when we come and have our outside auditors or grant management come in, these are extremely important. And what do we conclude as a successful year is when we get a clean report from our CPA and the people that come in and do our grants. This is what audit's all about. It's compliance and making sure we've answered the standards that are before us.
Mary, just curiosity, and I'm going to be off topic just for a little bit. When you say you have goals, are those at the individual level or just the department level?
Compliance goes to all the departments. So everything that we do, we monitor to make sure other departments are in compliance.
Okay, so it's not about the performance of the individuals, it's about the performance of the county that you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
got
It
it.
is extremely important that we stay compliant. And anyway, at the conclusion, if all goes well, we're going to start off with a great new year and end this one with a bang. So thank you for your time.
Any questions?
I have no answers.
Okay. Well, that's a perfect match then. All right, Mr. Weiniger.
Good morning, Commissioners, Judge. I have Stephanie, who's my chief deputy. She's going to pass out kind of what I'm going to present today, if that's all right with y'all.
Sure.
That way y'all have a record of it. So I'm going to kind of run through this. If y'all have any questions, feel free to ask. We're going to ask for quite a bit, then we're going to give quite a bit back. So just bear with me as we go through this. So on the first line item, which is 2235, the first thing on the budget is the software repair, maintenance, and upgrading our operating system. I'm requesting right at $123,000 because of the software we're currently using has reached the point where it's almost impossible to work with. For the past several years, it's continued to decline. It's become more difficult to work with. The technical support is no longer there. And sometimes it takes as long as 2 to 3 weeks to even get a response from the current one we're using. This isn't just an experience that we've had. The appraisal district, they've experienced the same thing. And last year they switched over to a different program. And my thinking was, okay, what we're going to do, well, let's let them switch over first and see if the problem is on their end or if it's on our end. Well, obviously, the problems have continued, and the existing or the current system we're using is just obsolete. So,
So y'all gonna use the same one the appraisal district uses?
no.
You're not.
It is the one that we're looking at is Axe, which is used by several other counties around the tax offices around the county, plus a lot of the appraisal districts offer. Matter of fact, I think even Rockwall Appraisal District is using the Axe. The reason we're looking at Axe is because it's quite a bit cheaper than the others that are out there. And you check around with other tax assessors or appraisal districts, and one of the ones that they've switched to is not, or they're not getting this technical support that they were promised. So anyway, we're looking at doing that sometime next year.
So have y'all bid it already? Put it out for proposals?
Kind of, sort of. By the time you do the conversion and the software and all that, it's going to be around $123,000. And that number could drop.
So if it's over 100, you have to do, question mark for Mary. If it's over 100,000, they have to go out for.
Well, let me clarify something. So the new system alone is around, I believe, is 80,000. But in order to do a transition, we're going to follow kind of what the appraisal district did. We're going to continue to use the current software we've got for 6 months as they do the conversion over to, if we go with Axe. So in other words, we still got to have access to those files to go through the conversion to make everything kind of a smooth transition. And that's what Mr. South and his office has done.
So what the breakdown of the 123,000 is what then?
I believe the software was going to be, do you remember, Stephanie, was it right at 80,000, 85,000? 65,000. And then there's a conversion fee on top of that, which a lot of these figures can be, we can work with the vendor on that.
So Mary, so the question, I think, where the judge is going is, can he break that up to where that it's the 65 for the software, and then whatever the implementation is that separate fees, or is it one fee from a compliance standpoint?
It's actually two different companies.
Oh, it's two different companies?
Yes, it's two different companies.
You're good
One
then.
is Harris Government, which is True Automations,
Gotcha.
and the other one is Axe.
Yeah, so Axe doesn't do the transition to their software? I'm just curious.
They do the transition, yeah, they do the transition from True Automations over to the Axe, and they charge out the rear. Just ask Mr. South. I couldn't believe what the train.
I think you answered this just a second ago, so I apologize if I'm repeating. So the current software, so is it out of maintenance, as far as the software is no longer maintained, or is it they're just poor service?
Poor service.
Poor service?
A lot of the people, whenever I come into office back in 2013, that was supposed to be the top of the line. Since then, a lot of the CEOs and executive people, they've left Harris Governor and went over and they started their own businesses.
So we don't have a contract that gives us any leverage against them, if the software is still being maintained? I'm just curious
We get no support, I promise you. There was one issue, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was on the refunds that were generated. Stephanie, do you know how many refunds we actually had to do this past year because of the inaccuracy?
Refunds, what does that mean?
Means we got to send them back because the tax statements that were sent out incorrectly.
Oh, okay.
Because
All right. I got it now.
it got from whenever we import stuff from the appraisal district, even though it goes into the system. Somehow or another, they got lost, the bills got generated, so they were at a higher level. Some of the ones lost their exemptions, their ag exemptions. Some were, that had homestead exemption, they were gone. So in order for them to correct it, they had to go to an upper level, to their developmental department,
Well, with
to
that,
correct this. And it took a month.
but with that being an issue, how are you guaranteed there won't be an issue? And why would you not consider going on the appraisal district's system?
Oh,
So you would, so
well,
it'd be a
actually-
direct,
actually,
why wouldn't you
that's a
have a
good
direct?
point. Actually, they do not do tax offices. They only do the appraisal side of it.
Their software?
Yeah, but
Okay.
they work side by side with AX.
Okay, that's
And they
fine.
work
That's-
side by side with others. The others are just way more expensive.
Okay, well, that's good information. I didn't know. That's why I was
Yeah.
curious.
No, I'm
Yeah.
happy to share it to you.
Yeah.
So let me just move on. So another item that we're looking at, excuse me. We're asking for, no, I think I'm all right. So we're asking for an increase of $26,484 because of the postage rates has gone up. Matter of fact, it went up last week. The processing of the printing of the statements, all that. And with, I mean, just this last year alone, we sent out 192 tax statements.
Well,
So
you've got a postage line item that didn't go up.
Right. But we're
So
just
the
kind
printing
of,
statements are going up that much?
well, let's see, what, postage went up to 84 cents last week?
I understand, but you got a line item for postage and you didn't increase it. So you're saying you're increasing in this line item postage. Wouldn't that need to be separated?
We can certainly look at that, yes.
It'd save doing a
But the
line
printing
item
of the
transfers. I mean, it'd save having to move money around next year.
Yeah. All right, we'll certainly look at that.
Okay. Anybody else got a question on that? Go ahead.
The next one is the operating supplies. It's, we probably need an additional $6,600 for envelopes, the paper, the copy paper. We go through that like crazy. And it's not just so much of the tax statements, it's the DMV. It's the motor vehicle registrations and transfer stuff that we're doing is like triple from what I was whenever we was taking office. It's crazy. So we're asking for an increase in that. The computer equipment, so last year, or this current year, we was able to upgrade all of our computers, new programs and everything. So actually, the line item is going to decrease. We're asking for 85,000 instead of 45,000, which represents a savings of $36,980. So we're cutting back on that because we got everything taken care of that we need to, and I don't foresee any issues coming up later on down the road. But at least we have a little in there as a reserve.
So that almost, those two almost wash your postage
Well-
increase.
Let me take one step further.
Okay.
So, yes, and that's kind of where I'm going with this. So, last year, we charge $1.13, or we were charging $1.13 per partial to the entities. So, with the cost of everything going up, we went back and we talked to the attorneys, even Mr. Ray, and told him that we were looking at doing an increase because I checked with other counties around the state to find out what they were actually charging. And some of them were actually charging more than this. So we sent letters out to all the taxing entities, and we increased the per partial fee from $1.13 to $1.50. So we didn't hear anything back from anybody. Everybody was good with it. So I believe it is effective in March is when we had to notify them. So anyway, everything went smooth. Nobody said anything. So that actually right there, just by the increase, generated approximately $67,919, which didn't go back to our office. It went back into the general fund. So that's a positive. So if you look at the numbers, you give some, take some, that's where we are at. So, but all these things, you know, is for your consideration. Of course, my employees, just like any other employees that work for the county, they would certainly appreciate any kind of raise that they might receive.
Agreed.
Any questions?
So, Randy, just to be clear, like your reduction on one item was 36,980, and then you generated 67,619 in revenues. Those two together would be an additional 104,599 that was added back into the budget. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I believe last year, do you remember the exact figure, Stephanie? We gave back right at $100,000 out of our last year's budget. Yeah, it is right at $100,000 out of last year's budget. I'd have to look at that to make sure, but it was right around that area because
You giving back
we
100
had thought,
this year?
we were thought we were gonna do the upgrade last year, but it didn't pan out because, like I said a while ago, we thought, well, let's let the appraisal district do this first and see where the problem really is, so.
Didn't the state raise the motor vehicle registration fee or something last session? Did they raise any of those fees?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, for regular motor vehicle registration,
Yeah.
it's $75. Do you,
Still the
Stephanie?
same?
Do you know? I'm not aware of any, no.
Okay, I was thinking that they did, and I thought they changed up the percentage of what we got and what they got too, but I didn't know.
No.
I know they were talking about it, but
It's
still the
states,
same.
what's really, I'll share this with you. So we have, how many computers, Stephanie? We got 15, 16 state computers?
15.
We got 15
State computers?
state computers.
Okay.
Now, we don't have to take care of them. The state comes in, they service them, they're supposed to change out new ones. So the state supplies the computers, correct? We do all the work, or the clerks do all the work. They do the motor vehicle stuff, they do the title transfers. And I think we get like $5, $6 per transaction. Is that right, Stephanie?
Interesting.
And there's a lot of them that goes through there a day, so.
Takes a while to do.
Yes, sir, it certainly does. If y'all have any questions, feel free to call me. I'd be happy to answer any questions anytime.
I had one.
Yeah.
I'm back on your software. So the 123,000 is what it takes to purchase the software, do the transition from the current database into that
Licensing
database,
and all
training, all that good stuff.
Yes,
I assume there's going to be an annual maintenance cost that goes with
Yes.
this as well. Do you know what that is yet?
No, I do not. I probably got it wrote down, but I can't recall what it is off the top of my
But
head.
the first year would be baked into that 123,000,
Yes,
and then so next year
Yes.
you'll be establishing whatever the recurring
yes.
number is.
And there's a possibility that that number alone could come down. They're willing to work with us, so.
Any other questions? Thank you.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you, Randy.
Mr. Ted Oates.
Good morning, Judge Stovall, Commissioners. I'm Ted Oates. I'm the Hunt County Veteran Service Officer. Since everybody I'm looking at the front is new since we've talked, the state of Texas mandates that every county with over 200,000 people have a county service officer. It is an unfunded mandate that the company or the county has to fund. Delta County, we were helping them out a little bit, but they now have a service officer, so we don't get too many folks from them. I am 14 and a half years into a job I was going to do for 2. When my good friend, former Commissioner Jim Latham, called my wife, wanted to know where I was, and she didn't have a clue. And he said, well, tell him his application's in the mailbox and he's late for his interview. So, as a courtesy to Jim, I said I would do it for 2 years, and in November I will complete 15 years. It's the first real job I've ever had. I'm a retired Air Force pilot. I'm a retired Air Force or Southwest Airlines captain. So all I had to do was get in the jet, and somebody paid for it, and I went and had fun. So I now, for up until 4 years ago, it was Peggy Freeman and I doing this. Peggy's been here, I think, since the county opened. But
We'll tell her you said that.
Judge Stovall was nice enough to let me hire another person, and we moved out of the jail down to the Wesley Plaza down by Brookshire's. And we just moved again a couple of years ago. We wear Brandon and his crew out and trying to get all the computers and software up. We're probably one of the leanest offices that there is in the county. I just ran the numbers before we came up here. In 25 and to date in 26, we've gotten about 50 plus veterans to 100%. At $4,000 a month, that equates to about a little over $2 million a year. Now, out of that has to come the fact that they get 100% off on their property taxes. So not all of that is true, but a lot of that is money that's spent in Hunt County. We have about 8,000 veterans. It seems like 100,000 sometimes. We schedule 4 appointments a day. We usually see 6 to 8 people because of walk-ins, plus telephone calls and those kind of things. So, and people have no respect for that you're closed during the lunch hour because we're normally there. So we're there just about all the time. We have to be counselors, lawyers, doctors and things, and given all the people that we see. And I'm here to tell you we have a lot of poor people in Hunt County. After the veteran passes away, if he was a service-connected veteran, then the spouse gets a service-connected death. She's entitled to $1,700 a month, plus an additional $400 depending on how long he was 100%, and then the tax abatement passes to her. So the money coming in, the tax abatement is the downside of all of that. The first budget I prepared was in 2012. When the judge said, don't want everybody to reduce their budget by 5%. So being the conscientious person that I was, I worked and did my budget and got it down and turned it in. And Mr. Hamilton, who was a county auditor at the time, called me over to his office. He said, that's not the way you do it. He said, you take a little out and you put a little in, and that philosophy doesn't work today. It's hard to judge how much money each one of our things is going to cost. We're mandated training every year with the Texas Veteran Commission. Sometimes there's more training depending on what's going on. Our software costs us, I think it's up to $550 now, and we have to have 3 computers with that software in it. Brandon, where we are, we're kind of in no man's land because AT&T doesn't service that area. So we're dealing with Spectrum, with our internet and phone lines, so that's a little bit of a problem, but we're working that out. When I looked at the budget, I just, based on how inflation is, just increased everything a little bit just based on that. If you look at my budget over the years, we never overspend. I don't think maybe early on we did a little bit just because of things going on, but we try to keep it as lean as we can. There are things that sometimes we have to do a little bit more out-of-county travel than we want. But that's, I think the return on the investment totally outweighs the money that you, the county, spend on us.
Any questions?
Hey, Ted, you got travel allowance and then you got travel in and out of the county. What's those two?
Travel in and out of the county is I have to go somewhere, sometimes to the cemetery to take a brief history. More people are being cremated today than ever before. And the problem is they take the body to the crematory, they're cremated, they hand them a box of ashes. And these people don't know what to, they want to bury them at DFW. I am a licensed funeral director through the VA, so I can schedule burials at DFW. So that's what that money is there. Sometimes I have to carry a veteran to Bonham or to an appointment because they have nobody else to take them. The other travel is for the travel that we have to do for maintaining our accreditation and things like that. It's usually far less than what I budget, but
Because you also go out in the county and visit veterans that aren't
I
able
do.
to come in. Okay.
I don't like it, but I do.
Anything else? Thank you, Ted.
Thank
Thank
y'all
you for your
very much.
service.
We do appreciate your support. As I talk to other county service officers, y'all don't know how much I appreciate what y'all do because a lot of counties don't support veterans like Hunt County does. So thank y'all very much.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you, Mr. Oaks.
Ms. Shockley.
All right, good morning.
Morning.
This is my first go at this type of special session, so bear with me. And I'll try not to carry on like I typically do so we can stay focused. But we have requested two things from Commissioners Court this new fiscal year. And I'm going to start with the one that I've prepared the most about, and that is about adding a smart board into our general meeting room in our extension building that we share with voter administration currently. I've come up with a few key points, and I'm just going to read through so I stay focused. But there are some obvious advantages of adding something like a smart board. Just to give you a little background information, we currently operate under a laptop and projector setup. So there's many cords and many components to it and many issues at times. So one of the points is to cut down on our IT service tickets. We do call Tyler and his team. We've called them in the middle of programs when we've had community members there. We've called when we've had community partners borrowing the shared space and had to help them through technical difficulties. So obviously a smart board will help clear up some of those IT tickets and streamline programs in that regard. We have had a big continuous increase of programs through the past couple years. I'll be hitting my 5-year mark in the office. And of course, we gained Ian last June. And so our educational programs and our community impact has started to continuously increase. For example, today, Ian's at a program and he's hosting another ag program this month. We have 4 youth community programs, summer camps going on in the month of July. And then throughout the summer, I have my 4 summer homestead programs going on in that meeting space. And I bring those up because every one of those situations, we are utilizing the projector and laptop situation. So that would be direct application for a smart board. We have tried to be as fiscally responsible as possible preparing this request. We did contact IT firsthand to talk about what board would be most compatible, what board would be most cost efficient, and that's how we came up with the numbers that we presented to you guys. So we are aware of, we are fiscally aware of asking for this this increase. It will expand our virtual learning opportunities. So, we're an education agency. We teach. We're teachers, Ian and I. And sometimes people can't come to the office. When it comes to my senior audiences, they almost refuse to go out at night. Now, getting them to log into their computers might be another hurdle we have to tackle. But even with our youth and coming to 4-H activities and evening meetings, they're spread out all over the county. And so a smart board will allow us to have a virtual presence that they can join in and be there from the comforts of their homes. I do also truly believe that as far as our youth development program goes in 4-H, having an upgraded technology tool like a smart board in the office presents like we are staying innovative. We're here to serve Hunt County's kiddos, and we're staying relevant. The projector, we make things work. We've always made things work. Our office operates on a nice, skinny, lean budget as well, and we make the most with what we have. But I do think if we had something like a cool, innovative smart board, and we would just present modern and up to date for the kiddos. It obviously has its technology improvements that kind of goes without elaborating too much. High quality visuals. You can annotate in real time. There's no cords laying on the floor. The computers can talk to each other. Those are obvious benefits. And in that regard, when we do hook up the computer and the projector as it stands, we tape down lots of cords to prevent tripping. So it would eliminate that. And then lastly, being a part of Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, we have specialists all over the state, and we even have access to other states' extensions programs. By having a smart board where we can conference them in, will open up a lot of amazing education opportunities in the virtual space. And so that's mostly with the smart board. Anybody have any questions or
So
thoughts?
it's $2,300 for the smart board. Is there any other software, anything like that that's going to have to be added with that?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Tyler and their department helped us with that quote. We made sure that the package came with the hanging bracket and that it was compatible just to set up and get going.
Okay.
We tried to do a little background homework.
Any other questions?
No?
Thank you.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Mary.
I do have one. So as you
You can't resist, can you?
Here I come.
Well,
Yes, sir.
listen,
Come on.
I'd want to make sure that if we go that route,
Yes, sir.
and so you'll have more online training.
Yes.
Is that Zoom, kind of calls that people are calling into?
Well, yes, we will.
So do
We
you-
like to use Zoom. Yes, sir.
So do you have costs that will go up because of that on the Zoom side?
I don't believe so. We already have, we have that already budgeted out, our Zoom fees, and we're not going to bust capacity on
Okay.
that in that regard.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, and I will say the meeting room is utilized not only by community partners, but this is an open space for any other county department to utilize as well. We kind of had an internal checkout protocol where we have a shared calendar, and that way we can coordinate different partners and community county departments. And so this will just, I think, add to that appeal. So if anybody in the county needed this space with a smart board inclusion, it would be open and available to them as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mary.
All right, Ms. Orange?
Good morning. some of mine, I can't help but for them to go up due to insurance and all. So the majority of mine, any raises or in my budget, most of those line items are directly from property insurance and all going up, general liability, public official, law enforcement liability. Those are ones I can't control. The medical screening, 2150. The reason why that had gotten so high is because I believe I was paying for the rabies shots with the health department. And I think they have all had theirs, so I could probably lower that. I will have to check with them to make sure that they've all gotten their rabies shots, vaccinations, and, but that's what that one is. The health incentives, that is where I pay for the flu shots for the county employees and also the gift cards for the ones who do attend the health fair to get screening, pre-screening, find out what's wrong with you before something bad happens. A lot of our employees do not go to that, which they should, but yes. Property insurance, as you see, that just goes up every year. Same with our official liability, that one is also. My insurance deductibles, I usually budget $40,000 every year. This year I'm already over $49,000. That is for every lawsuit that comes against the county. The county does have to pay for $10,000 deductibles, so that is what those are for.
We're over 49,000?
Correct.
Or at 89,000?
We're at 49,984 as of right this
We're
moment.
9,000 over budget, not 940.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. There are years I don't use it, but then there's years that,
Yeah.
yeah.
I thought we were over 49,000. I was like,
No.
wow.
Sorry. Advertising, I did lower that down. Most of our advertising we do is on our website, and also the newspaper gets some, but not a whole lot of attraction, I should say. So I did lower that down. Training in schools, I capped it at 1,000 only because TAC reimburses us every time we go to one of our conferences with TAC. But we have to pay it up front, and then we have to wait on the refund. So I'd leave it there. It's still there at the end of the year, but it's there so that whenever I charge or whatever, we can pay it up front. Operating supplies, that's a given. We did lower it 1,000 just to get it down some. Majority of ours are paper, stuff like that, envelopes for open enrollment, for mailing out stuff, and also. I did want to let y'all know that there is no increase on the health insurance or dental, which probably all of y'all have gotten your open enrollment stuff, so that is a good thing. So that's instead of everybody's going up, it's staying the exact same. Unemployment, that decreased this year to 0.13%. And then workers' comp I won't get until November or December, so don't really, I have to use last year's rates. Any questions?
The very first line item, is that increased by 10%?
Which one?
Department head?
No. I mean, I've just got it at, I haven't done anything, that's,
Okay.
The one I got shows requested budget $101,200.
oh, no, that should not have been. The one I just gave y'all was just showing the normal. With nothing, just if the county gets a raise, then that's,
Yeah, kind of like what Commissioner Monroe was saying, that's the one I was working
Oh,
off of. the one
okay,
that was
I'm
emailed
sorry.
to us.
I was on my computer. so
Yeah.
that's what I
Oh.
got. Sorry.
sorry.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Commissioners? Thank you, Sandy. Hallie?
She's been warned. We told her she's gonna have to do a good presentation. Bring her out of her shell.
Good morning. I'm hoping mine will be pretty easy and straightforward. We're just a two-person department, so we have a pretty small budget here. I think the budget for this current fiscal year is adequate for the next one, so I didn't request any increases or decreases. So yeah, what questions do you have?
Commissioners, got any questions?
You're not changing anything on your budget then?
No.
Leaving it the same?
Yep. I can see you looking to try.
Trying to find something we can tell you we're gonna cut.
Sorry, I didn't do a presentation.
You're good.
I'm not sure what I would have put on there.
Any questions, Commissioners? Thank you.
Slide.
Thank you.
You nailed it, Hallie. You nailed it.
Best one yet. Short and sweet. Noby.
Morning, Judge.
Morning.
Commissioners.
Morning.
I don't have a lot. If you look at the budget that we presented here in terms of just our mainstay and day in and day out, we're pretty consistent this year with what we were last year, and I think we get what we can get and we do the best with it. But I think primarily the reason we're here today is personnel, right? And I know, or I say I know, I understand that it's a very tough year, that there's a lot of problems in a lot of different departments, but I do think with our year that's coming up, particularly we've got 2 capital murder cases that are pending right now. These are both at the present death penalty cases. And I think that coupled with, where we've been in the past and where we are heading, we need some help, if at all possible, at all. If you don't mind, Judge, I had Mr. Lilly prepare some material we're going to pass out.
Sure.
And I also have...
So are the public defenders handling both of those? We just paying expenses?
They are, Judge. That's separate than what we have, that we have the public defenders that represent the defendants, those that are charged with.
Oh, okay, but y'all are the prosecutors in it?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay,
And so
gotcha.
we're just on our end. And
My bad.
If you don't mind, Steve and I, and y'all all know Steve Lilly, he's our first assistant. We went through where we are presently in terms of just our caseload, our numbers that we have, where we expect to be over the course of the next year and years after that. Consistently over the last, as long as I can remember, whenever we've come to Commissioners Court, we have asked for additional personnel, particularly ADAs, assistants. Right now, we have 2 prosecutors in each of the district courts. Mr. Lilly is primarily, he's our first assistant, but he does intake, does most of the interaction with law enforcement. All of our cases that come in, if there's a felony offense that's committed in Hunt County, it winds up being our case. So that means every law enforcement agency that's in the county, the Sheriff's Department, Greenville, Wolf City, Commerce, whoever it may be, if there's a felony offense that winds up being filed, it goes through us. And of course, we have an intake process that we go through just to move forward. But again, I say I understand. I believe it's a tough year. I know that. But I certainly wanted the Commissioners Court to know what we're anticipating and just sort of the, well, it's going to be a tough year. It's going to be a tough year. And it's probably going to go on into next year as well, definitely. So, Judge, if Mr. Lilly can approach and,
Sure.
and give you what he's put together.
Thank you, Noby. Commissioners, what you have before you is something that Noby and I, Mr. Walker and I have been working up over the last several weeks. Well, obviously there's been a lot more thought going into it than that, but it's something that I wanted to put on paper and provide the Commissioners Court something to think about and some options to consider. We do need new staff. We need additional staff in a critical way. I will just echo and expand a little bit on something that Mr. Walker just talked about. Our 2 capital murder cases right now, the defense that is appointed to those cases, it's my understanding that is their only case. Maybe they have 2. So they have staff working nearly full-time on one case. I would say that the primary prosecutors on those cases are probably working on them 3 to 5 hours a week in our office because that's all they have time for. And we need more people. And so that's why we're here today. So this document here is trying to strike a balance. We believe over the next several years, we are going to need 3 additional attorneys, 1 investigator, and another victims assistance coordinator, which is a position that we added with the SB 22 funds. And she has been a tremendous help in our office and taken a lot of the strain away from some of the, a good amount of the strain away from some of our prosecutors, including myself. We need another one. Most offices, most counties and district attorneys' offices have 2 victim assistance coordinators. Well, 1 in each court, and we have 2, and we're using 1 for those courts. So we could use another one. We need another investigator who can help with the intake side of things, which is something that I assist with in a really important way. So I can be there for the trial court prosecutors, helping them a little bit more with the things that they need help with. In my experience, to help them with getting ready for these capital murder trials and these other big cases, something that the first assistants do typically, and I love to do that work, and it's important. But intake is taking up a lot of my time, and that's okay too. I understand that. But an investigator to help with the that side of things would be very important too. And then 3 additional prosecutors, we believe, would put us more in line with what we see other places. There's a supervising attorney and 2 trial attorneys in each court, and an intake attorney that does just that, that's not the first assistant. Again, with the way that we are growing over the next several years and the way we have been growing, this would put us more in line with the staffing we see at other counties. And so this document here, I just want to say a few things about it. It has 4 options, and it's kind of a slot people in as you'd like, but I wanted to just give an idea of the first 3 little bullet points at the top. Give the again the approximate cost for each of those positions per year, and that includes benefits. It's a number that I got off of the master salary worksheet on the total cost of an employee, and use those for that number. So that's not that number plus benefits. That's supposed to include benefits. I want to make sure that that's clear. And it is approximate based on this year's numbers, this budget year's numbers. And so the first option would be one that includes all of those people in this coming budget year. We understand that's probably not very feasible. But I do want to say that that's one of the options that we would love to see, obviously. 3 new attorneys, an investigator, and a victims assistance coordinator now, well, in October. Understanding that that might not be feasible for this coming budget year, we have an array of options that we believe demonstrate some of our most urgent needs and they go down in costs for this coming budget year from, option 1 to option 4. And so I can say that option 2 is dropping down about 30% off of what option 1 would cost, and going down from there to what I believe, if nothing else, and I've talked over with the trial prosecutors a little bit, and Mr. Walker, that if we can get nothing else this budget year, that the addition of an investigator to assist in intake, and that is, I'll just explain real briefly, when a case comes into our office and it gets initially screened by me, I am reading through that case to make sure we have all the information we need to have from law enforcement. And then if there's something missing, I have to reach out to law enforcement and start waiting for them to get back to me and get all that information. That takes a lot of my intake time. If we had an investigator that I could work with full time on intake, that would free up a lot of time for me to assist in the courts with the other prosecutors on these very big cases we have pending and are going to continue to keep piling, well, not piling up, but continue to be filed as the county grows. And so that would be the option 4 would be for the addition of 1 investigator who is a TCOL certified peace officer and works in our office with law enforcement to assist with intake, to get those cases over more quickly, to get the things we need more quickly, and free me up to do a little bit more of the first assistant supervisory role that I think that is important. So that would be the least cost to the county next budget year. It defers more costs for things we definitely need, but we understand where we stand as a county. And as Mr. Walker said, we're not asking for any additional funds in any of our other line items that I'm aware of. I double-checked that after he came in, but so we're trying to be good stewards. We're also trying to grow with the county and try and get up to where we need to be. So I think Mr. Walker or I would welcome any questions.
So you're already out of space. Where are you gonna put the
Well-
person, or much less one, or what about three?
Yeah.
What are we gonna do?
Well, Judge, I think that's something that is an important question. We absolutely have the space right now for one additional investigator. We have space in our front office, the front door area. We have an entire desk credenza area that we haven't used for some time because we moved somebody into the back hallway. So we do have room there for, absolutely, right now, we have room for one more person.
But that'd be more like an investigator, not an attorney that's doing work to be open to the
Correct.
public.
Absolutely. Well, we would have to be creative, and we understand that, and we understand that that's something that we would have to we'd be responsible for working with Your Honor and the court to figure out what we're going to do on that. We understand that, but we need the people, and we need the people. We can be flexible a little bit on where people go and things like that, but we do need the people. So
Next question is,
Yeah.
y'all,
Sorry, yes.
you've used all the SB 22 money for raises. What is that gonna do in relation to having a new person come in? Because y'all have maxed out, I believe, the SB 22 money. So are you gonna take some of that away to give to others, or what's the thought process? Or is the taxpayers gonna have to absorb all that additional money that if you match wages that have been raised because of SB 22, how's that going to work for us?
Well, the new attorneys that we would be adding are budgeted at what the current, I don't want to call them entry level because they might be watching, but our current, the most recent hires, how about that? The most recent hires, that is what the county is contributing towards their salary, and that's what makes up this total. And so it would be matching what the newest hires are making and are being paid by the
So
county.
some of those you got new hires and they didn't get SB 22 money? So did you give SB 22 money back?
No, we did not give any money back. I think that some of those other newest hires are getting some additional money in SB 22, but we are not. This plan is just what it's going to cost the county.
So they get them, if they're being replaced, they're replacing someone that left. I guess they had SB 22 in that position already, so they're getting that piece of it.
They are, and we expect that there's been a little bit of up and down on that this budget year because we did lose a really experienced attorney, and we have a new hire who's great, but she's the new hire. So I think we're going to have to do some adjusting on SB 22 this coming budget year to account for that. Mid-year, it was a little bit of a challenge to figure out exactly where we were going to slot all of that money, but we will be adjusting that.
All right, for the public, the SB 22 money is 2 sessions ago, I believe.
Yes.
The state awarded to rural counties monies for law enforcement and sheriff's departments, constables, and prosecutors.
Yes.
And y'all's portion of SB 22 is 200 a year, is that right?
275, I believe.
275?
275,000. And we did use a good portion of that to hire new staff, that victims assistance coordinator. We didn't use it all for staff.
I mean, and again, my concern is we raised those up to the 275. If you even replace one or two, even if you leave them in, bring them in at entry level area,
Yes.
then how you ever going to move them up if you boxed yourself in with that? I mean, you've kind of set a precedent of what we pay with that SB 22 money, and how we going to hire people and bring them in without paying them that much money, and the taxpayers now have to absorb that increase.
Judge, if I may, when we established that, we did it as a percentage, and I think getting to your question, we may literally cross that bridge. I mean, we may get to a point where the percentage that everyone receives, it may have to be adjusted to accommodate for the new hires, so to speak. But at present with the county, what the county funds for that incoming position is close to adequate, at least in terms of having some people take a bite, maybe coming in, maybe they don't, but that's just the county's end of it. I think the purpose of SB 22, or the stated purpose from Austin, was we couldn't keep anyone. I've lost a couple of really good attorneys since SB 22, despite them having that increase in salary, because we can't keep them. We can't compete with what they can actually do. I think we've got, I know Mr. Lilly's been at it for over 20 years. Mr. Kovach, he's coming up on 20 years. Elijah Hollis is about 15, 16 years practicing. That it's difficult to keep that kind of experience that we need, and I think that's what SB 22 spoke to in order to enable us to retain some folks. But I think to your point,
I agree with that. It makes it kind of a quagmire when you get people that are staying and you've used up the money, and now you got to bring new people in, and then you got to start paying them up close to those amounts, and it's going to be more expensive on the taxpayers, is what I'm saying.
No, sir, I understand. And there could be an adjustment on the SB 22 all the way up and down based on a percentage. But I think, like Steve said, when we lost Allison, it was kind of mid-budget year, and so we really haven't gotten that worked out yet. But,
Okay.
yes, sir.
And I think I'll say that in furtherance of that, Judge Stovall, people are going to stay in positions generally, in my experience, that they feel like they are not only paid well, but that it's a good working environment, and that the caseload isn't too high, and that they have all the tools they need and the time that they need. And that's what we are lacking right now, is time, and because the caseload is so high. And so I feel like we're going to have an increase in some morale in the office, to be frank, if we added some staff, because we need that extra time. And so I think that that's going to help in some of those regards. And so we understand the judge's concern. And it's something that, when come budget year, when we're dealing with the SB 22 money and figuring things out, it takes up a lot of my and Mr. Walker's time. But we're willing to take on that responsibility and that extra time and stress. And that's okay, because we need the people.
Well, Commissioner, I encourage you to go up to their office, because they are packed in and they need more space. And adding people is just going to make that problem worse. And a lot of people don't think we need any more space and all, but we are crowded everywhere. So, any questions, Commissioners?
Steve, how far behind is your office now, or is that a fair question? Or what would it look like different if you hired all these, say option one, if you had all that option, what would your office look like different from the caseload you have now to what it would look like?
I think it would look, it would definitely help with, I'll say this, as far as what happens on the front end is that when cases come in, if I am working on other items, doing things, helping supervise and stuff, it might take me a little bit longer to review those cases and get them ready for grand jury. And so that is where there might be more of a lag now than there definitely would be if I had an investigator and more attorneys, particularly the investigator. Right now, what I try to do is review a case that was filed in 1 month for next month's grand jury. There was a lot of things that divided my attention last month, for instance, and I didn't get to June's for July's grand jury. I'm not going to, and probably I'm not at May, and I don't want to get back, any farther behind, because that is a challenge. It's better than it used to be 10 years ago, but it's a challenge. And so that would be one absolute thing, is that if we had an investigator and attorneys to do that, that would help with that. As far as the other getting behind, I wouldn't say that it's getting behind. It's feeling like they have the time they need to properly address the cases that they have, the serious ones. It's 20% of the cases take up 80% of the time. And it's getting to those cases, those murder cases, those child abuse cases, and being able to feel like that they've been able to give them even more attention than they have time for now. I hear that a lot.
So you're basically wanting just a little more time for your current people to spend more time on each case, so they can get more thorough information on it, just present it.
And the preparation for trial is important. I mean, we do a great job. I was shocked to learn when a law school friend of mine is in the Ellis County DA's office, and he said, well, I have a prosecutor assigned to just work on this new capital murder case. That's all they do. And I couldn't believe it that they had the staff to do that. We're not asking for that clearly, but I could not believe that they had the staff to just, you're not going to do anything else. You're just going to work on this capital murder case. You know, we're so far away from that. We're trying to get, we would like to have our staff spend 20%, 15% of their time on the capital murder cases they have, including the death of Officer Cooper Dawson, and, you know, there's another one that's out there. We would love to be able to get to that point. Right now, we're at probably 5% of their time. You know, that goes up and down by month, but that's what we're looking at. And then the other murder cases and things like that, the attention is so divided because of the caseload. And I'll say this, something that there is about probably 10 to 20 times more information that we have to go through in a given case than there was when I started in 2005 doing this. There's so much more stuff that we have to get through. There's videos of everything. There's cell phone downloads that take forever to get through. There's DNA. There's things that were in their infancy when I started just 20 years ago that now are in every case, and we have to get through all of it. That stuff was not there. There is probably, I would say, you know, only on the generous side, 10 times more videos, data, and things to get through on even the more simple cases than there was when I started. And, you know, we haven't added an attorney since 2015, and that has just exploded since then. The demands of getting through that stuff.
Well, we've already got kind of a bottleneck in our district courts. They're doing about all they can do. Adding more people, is that going to push more cases faster and make that problem worse?
I don't believe so, no. I think that it will help, actually. I think that it will probably help us resolve a lot of the cases that should get resolved more quickly. Because, like I said, 80% of the case, you know, 20% of the cases take up 80% of the time. Well, the other 80% of cases can probably be resolved certainly more quickly if we have more attorneys that will help with that. It'll help with caseload and reviewing the documents, the videos and everything, and get those cases resolved more quickly. Either they're out of our jail and in the prison system, or they're on probation, hopefully making payments and being relatively productive. So I don't think it'll backlog trials. I think it'll make the trials more efficient because we'll be able to prepare for them out ahead of time more. That's what I anticipate based on my experience.
How many investigators do y'all have now, Steve?
We have two.
Two?
Mhm, yes, and I kind of share one of them for my intake purposes,
Okay.
and his attention is very divided, and I have felt very strongly, really within the last month or so, what is the one single thing, if we could get nothing else, that would assist our office the most, and me personally, but that's not the most important thing, and that is an additional investigator that just assists with intake and helping that flow through better. And so we have one for each court, but I'm using one for my intake purposes a lot. He probably spends about a third to a half of his time helping me. So,
Well, you know, of course, that's why we got, if you speed it up, you put more, that's putting more pressure at us to get that other courtroom open as fast as we can.
Judge, I wanted to say this, Commissioner David, on part to your question, on the getting behind, and Steve, I'm sure explained it.
Get closer to the mic.
It really is two parts. Is it with law enforcement, they're not slowing down. And so I think whenever any municipalities, or particularly the sheriff's department, as those departments may increase and they have more folks, in terms of the bottleneck, they don't slow down. I think what was about 1,000 cases last year?
1,100.
Or 1,100 cases. That's 1,100 cases from this county that we're having to review felony offenses. And so we've got it pushing real hard on the front end with pretty much just Steve and Tommy as much as he can helping out with that. But then on the back end, the courts aren't stopping either, right? Is that they have their settings, they have their cases, they keep rolling. And so it's our courtroom prosecutors, those guys, they're in trial, and they're actually literally in trial, and maybe at the end of the day, they touch up and catch up or get ahead a little bit as they can, but they're already working on the next cases they're going to be set in 2 weeks. So I think it kind of goes back to what Steve was saying, and you as well. There is a finite number of cases that can be tried, you know, in a given district court. But I think part of it is we could increase that based on the settings from the district court. But for me, or what I wanted to stress to you guys, more importantly than that, is the ability for the ADAs to be able to give the kind of time that they need to give to any case that they're prosecuting. Because with these kind of numbers, you do get into a situation where we are, to be honest, we're having to prioritize. And it's not that a particular case isn't a good case. If somebody breaks into my garage and steals my riding lawnmower, I want the DA's office to do something about it. But it gets really difficult when the prosecutors that are dealing with the offenses, they've also got that sexual assault of a child, or that murder, or that ag assault, or whatever, that it's just the limited resources having to go into what we have. And so that's the behind part of it.
What are your numbers on your prosecutions of having good results? When you go to trial, are we winning 90% of them, 50% of them, you know?
You know what's funny is that, and we get that all the time, it's really difficult to put it to a given number. I can tell you we are successful way more than we're not. We will hit kind of ebbs and flows. We hit just, a couple of months ago? Pardon me?
We hit an ebb.
Yeah, we hit an ebb. We definitely hit an ebb. But of course, it goes back and forth. Far and away, we're more successful in our prosecutions. It'd be difficult to put it to an actual percentage, but typically, if we go to a jury trial, they have resulted in guilty verdicts if we have a good case and we go forward on it. But that doesn't mean we don't go to trial on cases that are, we've got enough, grand jury indicted, we go with what we have, but depending on what that jury says, maybe it was enough, maybe it wasn't. But
Well, I was asking that because if your percentages happen to be low, I didn't think they were, but if they happen to be low, is that because of lack of having enough time to prepare for them? I guess that was my kind of where I was trying to look at it. If you're winning your cases and you're doing good, then your staff is doing good. If you're not performing, and I don't want you to go back and start doing nothing and taking 2-hour breaks and all that stuff during the day, but I was trying to get some feel for if there's any math out there that says we could do better if we had more, we'd get more success in the courtroom if we had more help.
My belief, my personal belief in this is that with the increase, Steve touched on it really just a little bit, but with the increase in the amount of evidence and the amount of information that we're receiving from all law enforcement, like you said, there's video everywhere, every car. If we have a scene, crime scene, somebody pulls up and there's maybe 6 officers show up to that, each one of them will have a dash cam, each one of them may have a body cam, who knows what all's involved, and if that case actually goes to trial, we have to watch that. Even if there's a video of a squad car that's sitting in front of a house for 2 hours, and the only thing that happens is a cat runs across the street, right, or whatever it may be. Because the requirements on us are to produce every swinging thing we have to the other side, and in phone dumps, and with the pornography cases, and like Steve said, the DNA. So I think where it runs back to, I'm getting to what you had mentioned there, we haven't been bitten to this point, right? Thank goodness.
Right.
But as everything increases and there's more and more and more and more, the odds of that coming increase as well.
Yeah.
That if we miss a step, because these guys are working, like crazy on a number of cases, like I said, it hadn't happened yet, but there's actually case law, and it's kind of still developing, but in terms of the discovery rules, right, is what we're required to do. Forever and ever, we thought, well, if we don't turn something over and it's done in good faith, it was truly an accident and we didn't mean to, da-da-da-da-da, it would kind of work out and our judge would have some discretion to address that. Those rules are changing. Our obligations, what we have to turn over and how, if we fail to, it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. So, anyway.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir. So,
you noticed I looked at you first.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the last thing I want to do in recognizing the amount of time challenges that y'all are having is give you an assignment that adds more time. But I'm a numbers guy. I'm a picture guy. We had a little bit of these conversations last year.
Yes.
Things are growing and changing, and with good growth comes bad activities. And so, what would really help me in understanding your request? I get it. Sometimes it's a feeling, right? You know when the weight's getting heavier on their shoulders, trying to carry the load. But what would help in this scenario is how many cases do you intake, not just this year, but the last 3 years? Show the growth. How many cases do you have? How many court trials do you have? How many things go to the grand jury? And I'm saying, not just this year, but over time. I'm hoping you have some data, right? How many victims? You're talking about adding a victim person, so has that doubled, tripled? Can you say, here's the number of victims? Typical age of a case, right? So that, if I'm making up numbers, if a case takes 120 days on the average, or that's what it used to take, 120, and you're at 194 today, certainly shows, all these things are indicators that's, to help a guy who lives with numbers and is just trying to figure out budget stuff to get there and go, yeah, I can see the growth. I know you feel it. And please don't, this is not me saying I don't believe you. It just would help to have those tangible numbers that could show a trend line that shows that growth and the percentage of growth. 5% growth, maybe we can go to option 4. 80% growth, maybe we got to jump to option 1. So I mean, those are the, and what's your current backlog and what's your typical backlog look like? Those kinds of things would help me if we had that, just to have a different kind of conversation among us.
Yes, sir, we can. Everything you just mentioned.
Yeah, like I say, I don't want to give you more work when I know time is your issue,
okay.
but.
Yeah, no, this is.
We understand. We understand that it's worth it to us if it's going to convince the court
And
to
you're right, so
help
much of
us.
it is-
So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, like what we were saying, you guys live it and see it every day, and getting up here, it's not arguing whether you're, truly doing this or just asking for it. So some kind of proof in there of kind of like what Gary was saying of the growth will help us better understand what you guys do day in and day out, and what the past history has been as well.
Well, it's not just us, it's the public.
Right.
Sure.
Absolutely, right. And I think one of the things we'll also try and do is, and this will be a little bit more challenging, is try and get across how much more complicated the cases are now than they were 5-10 years ago. That's a little bit harder to quantify, but we will also include that, because that is a very key part of it, is that how much more complicated and involved and evidence review there was than there was even 10 years ago.
Well, we got AI, it ought to be easier.
What AI? Yeah.
No
If we
comments.
build
Steve?
some data centers, you can have
No,
more AI.
we're anticipating some AI generated. Actually, we prosecuted our first AI generated child pornography case. Went to grand jury last week. Wow. So that is going to increase as well, unfortunately.
It's a whole new world.
It is a new world, yep.
Well, thank you so
Anybody-
much for your time.
Anything else? Thank y'all.
Commissioner Smith, how do you want this information, or how does the court want this information? How would that be most helpful? I want to make sure that I get that.
think at this point, Judge, I'll yield to you as the budget officer. For me, it would be.
Just a spreadsheet.
Receive the information, just send it to the court, I guess, or the judge, and whether we can just have it for.
A table form, send it to Jessica, and she can distribute it to everybody.
Okay, all right, thank you.
But if you can do at least 3 years, if you had 5, it'd be great, but, y'all know what I used to do. However far I had to go back to make my cases, how far I'd go back.
Right.
Just to see where you're at. Right.
Yes,
Well, thank
absolutely.
y'all.
Thank y'all for what you do.
Thank you.
Wiley?
Sir, good morning.
Good morning.
We, when we submitted our proposal, attached a breakdown that explained the increases we're asking for. There's just a few. I can go through those with you if you want, or if you have copies and that you've reviewed those and you have questions you want to ask about those, I can try to answer those as well.
If you will, Wiley, just go ahead and go through them.
Yes,
Just so
sir.
the public and everybody can hear it.
Yes, sir. I've got 3 broken down here, and going back to kind of what the district attorney's office presented, we have seen an increase in cases filed over the last several years. And with that, we get more cases, supply costs go up, cost of everything is going up, of course. But the first one I have here is court reporter services. We've asked for a $2,000 increase in that, from $2,000 to $4,000. That goes back to the amount of cases we've been filing.
Is that for depositions, or is that what you use those for?
Transcripts, yes, sir.
Okay.
So, the more cases we file, theoretically, the more go to trial, and when there's a trial, there's typically an appeal, and at that point, we have to order a transcript in order to prepare the appeal and submit it to the Court of Appeals. The second one is training and schools. We've asked for, it looks like, a $10,000 increase in that. If you go back and look at the last few years, we have spent. So we've asked for $35,000. I realize that over the last few years we have spent, let me find it here,
Well, you only spent 700 this year.
for training.
Yes.
I've got that the reason for that is most of our training occurs later in the year. So we have scheduled some in the last month, I believe, that is going to take it
Okay. that's
maybe
fine.
over what we have budgeted.
Trying to understand, you're asking for more, and yet you only spent
Yes,
700
sir.
this year.
Yeah,
so-
the way it works out is like most of our training is later in the year.
Okay.
Like, for example, in a few weeks, we have nine attorneys, I believe, going to a training in Dallas, and that's where most of our budget will be spent.
Is this, Wiley, on the training, is that required training? You
It
guys
is.
have to have CEs training
Yes,
hours per
sir.
year and stuff?
Yes, sir. We have to maintain a certain number of CLE hours every year, and that satisfies that. Part of the reason that we need an increase, and you'll see that we have not spent that much over the last few years, over the last, since Calvin took office, we have been unable to fill all our attorney positions. I believe when Calvin was county attorney, we sat around 60 to 70% of that time we were a person short because we just don't get as many applications anymore. Part of it is, other places pay more. And then when Scott was here, I believe we were close to a full year without a attorney spot filled. And currently, of course, we're one attorney short right now. So as we become full staff, we're going to have that full amount of that $35,000 rather than like the 28 or whatever we have been spending.
So just want to make sure I'm on the same page with you.
Yes,
You
sir.
said you have 9 attorneys about to go to a class in September.
Yes, sir.
So-
No, August. The
August?
first week of August.
So is that a $3,000 per attorney kind of cost thing?
Paige, you made the reservations and paid all the.
I did, and it's also in our request, the numbers are there. So the training is $895 per person, the hotel we estimate is $843 to $63, which is not including the hotel tax per person. And then there's also gonna be the per diem on top of that, which is gonna be $309.81 per person, aside from one attorney who will travel back and forth. Per diem will be adjusted a little bit. And we have an attorney right now currently at a training in Austin, and that has came out of our budget since all of these trainings.
And I misspoke. I said 9 attorneys. That's not true. That's including. I meant to say 9 employees. Of course, I don't believe we have 9 attorneys. That's 2 investigators. I believe both of our CPS attorneys, 4 of our. Trying to remember who else is going now. One of our legal assistants is going, and then myself and I believe 3 other prosecutors. So 9 employees, I believe.
And you say you have you're short one attorney right now?
Yes, the county attorney.
Okay.
And then the next one is operating supplies. We're asking for, I believe it's around $11,000 increase in that. That's just the cost of everything is going up, along with the number of cases we're seeing go up. And we put kind of an example of that. We don't have the full numbers in here, but take, for example, May 14th, 2024, we had filed 271 cases. May 14th, 2025, we were up to 450 cases, and then May 14th, 2026 of this year, we had already filed 466 cases. Like Nobi and Steve said, just the number of cases we are receiving are increasing every year. Those are the main, I believe those might be the only things we've asked for increases in. Any questions, any other questions about those
Correct me if I'm
things?
wrong, but y'all don't have any space in y'all's office either, do you, for additional
Yes, we do.
people?
We do not have space. I believe we are understaffed, but I will leave that for the next county attorney to fight for. But again, like the district attorney's office, we're out of space.
Yeah.
So similar question, do y'all have the ability to put together similar numbers with kind of a historic trend line of the various aspects that are increasing?
We can do that.
I say, I know it's not like you're asking for 12 more people or anything like that, but if you had it readily available, I'd love to see it.
Yes, sir.
Anything else?
Wiley, do y'all have 2 investigators as well?
We do. We have 2.
Okay.
And never mind. I won't get into future what we need. That's
All right, thank you.
no problem.
Brandon, save the best for last.
I put together this nice PowerPoint to hopefully scare you guys a little bit.
Looks like you had help.
That's a lot of
Tyler.
Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, and the fancy tools in PowerPoint. So this year I am asking for a little bit more in a few line items. As you know, every 3 to 4 years, my line items fluctuate big time just because a lot of our major software purchases, some of them are 3-year contracts, some of them are 1-year contracts, some of them are 2-year contracts. So the software repair and maintenance line item, that one's going to go up and down from year to year. It's a little more this year because we're actually adding, we want to add Microsoft 365 Intune. That's an add-on to the 365 suite that we currently utilize. And the reason for that is just because security and multi-factor authentication definitely needs to be increased just due to all the recent advances in technology and the way hackers can get into our computers and steal passwords. I mean, and a lot of times, you know, it's employee negligence, but this right here will take employee negligence out of that equation, really. So Intune, what it does is even devices like some of you guys have laptops there or tablets, those are not domain computers, meaning it's not sitting on the physical Hunt County network and it's not domain joined. Therefore, it's not getting the same policies as the rest of the county computers. And while it does have antivirus on it, it does not have the ability for us to constantly monitor threats coming in, coming out of the laptop. And what Microsoft Intune will do will increase the multi-factor authentication requirements on it and also give us a way to deploy policies, security policies or just regular county policies to these devices. That way they stay up to date, make sure that they have up-to-date Windows updates and Windows firewalls, all that good stuff. So 365 Intune, that is going to be a requirement because we have increased requirements for law enforcement and CJIS computers, which require an additional level of multi-factor authentication to be CJIS compliant. In order to implement that, especially on the sheriff's deputy laptops, we have to have Microsoft Intune to deploy that, manage it, and something to associate the security tokens that will be required for it. Because we're not only authenticating on our computer, we're actually authenticating if you're on a domain computer, which is like your desktop computer, you're authenticating on the domain controller, which is when you log into your computer, you're not logging into your computer, you're authenticating to a server. But because we are synced with Microsoft 365, we're also authenticating with the Cloud 365. So Intune will allow us to do that better with not only laptops, but every single desktop device that requires multi-factor authentication.
Brandon, I have a question on that. I know
Yes,
the
sir.
judge is going to have a lot of questions over all this IT stuff in a minute, but my first question is on, you said requirement. What do you mean by requirement? Is that a state requirement? Is that?
It is a FBI and DPS requirement for CJIS.
It's in place already right now?
It's in place, and we are doing workarounds to make it compliant. This will make it, like, for example, we have multi-factor authentication in place right now. All right, so if you noticed over the last year, we've had a couple incidents where multi-factor authentication was hacked because if a prompt comes up for you to put in your Microsoft credentials, if you can't verify that that's actually Microsoft asking for that and you put in your username and password, you're just giving your password to a hacker. And that's how they're able to go steal the session tokens on your computer and use those session tokens, clone them on other computers wherever they're at in another state. And essentially they are logging in to your session that they cloned from your computer. And that's how they're able to access it. And so in order to combat that, we need to have a higher level, something that can't be hacked, because initial multi-factor authentication, you know, could have been a telephone call. Call my phone, you know, get this code, type in the code. And then it went to text message, which some people are still using. But that's not 100% secure anymore, just because every single day, especially since the advancements in AI, people are finding new ways to authenticate as you, steal your tokens, or actually steal your multi-factor authentication in transit. So with Intune, we'll be able to actually require a physical device or have a stronger multi-factor authentication token, which would be an app on your phone, which this will require me to modify county policies to say, if you want to access Hunt County resources outside of Hunt County, meaning on your phone, on your laptop, you will have to download an app if you want to access it. I mean, that's just like any major corporation or any bank, any defense contractor, you have to have an app to download on your phone if you want to use it. Some of them will provide you a phone, but my thought is if you want to use Hunt County resources outside of Hunt County, you have to abide by the policies in place because of the security requirements that we're required to abide by. So if you'll see the Microsoft renewal, that's a little more than it was last year, because this year we already implemented Microsoft Entra, which allows us to sync our devices and users from our on-premise Active Directory server with the Microsoft Cloud Active Directory. And that was the first step in getting multi-factor set up to be more secure. The second step, Intune, is for us to apply those same policies to devices that aren't physically connected to our network. So I would look at those two as absolute necessities for security. Because, I mean, I'm going to get to it later in this presentation, but the amount of attacks that we have every day, every 10 seconds, you know, we get 100 attempts that our firewall's constantly battling, and that we have to go in there and modify policies for every single day, every week, and monitor all the time, every day.
So on that list, so what's the increase?
So the increase for this entire line item is $95,000, and that's mainly from adding Microsoft Intune, and I haven't got to it yet, but Adobe Acrobat Pro. It's Adobe, the current version we are using will be end of life this year, so they will no longer provide security updates, and that's a requirement on any government network. Any software, any computer you use have to have up-to-date security updates. So Adobe Acrobat, it used to be a standalone version. It was called a perpetual license, meaning you pay for it, they give you a license and a download, you install it on the computer, you put in the product key, and you have Adobe Acrobat on that computer no matter what user logs into that computer. What they're going to now is a subscription base, so it's going to be added per user. So we'll have an Adobe dashboard where we apply a license to a user, and that user, wherever they go, they can log on any computer, log on to their Adobe subscription, and use their Hunt County licensed Adobe Pro version on any device. So if you have a laptop or a phone, that follows you wherever you go. And that's just the new way Adobe's doing it. They don't do it the old way. It's going to cost more over time just because we're going to have to pay a yearly subscription. But I can't do just one or two. Once we go to it, we have to do everybody or nobody because it's tied to our email address. And so if we implement it in our environment and they see they're trying to log in with their email address, they're going to require them to sign up for a subscription. So any computers that utilize, which is every single one, Adobe will have to be upgraded to the subscription.
So it can't be a select group of emails. It's,
Well, once huntcounty.net is tied to a subscription, then it's going to see everyone logging in with huntcounty.net addresses, and it's going to automatically be adding them to our thing. But
so
it's
the
gonna,
identifier is huntcounty.net, not
yes,
brand, not
the
brand.
only way to get around that is to not connect to the internet. Because this
That's
is
starting to feel like a pretty good answer.
yeah. So this is going to be a
Real good
cloud-based.
idea.
So this will allow you to use the app on your computer, or say you're on your laptop at home, you just want to go to adobe.com, allow you to use it just like you can, say, your Outlook or your Microsoft 365 account. You can go to office.com, access all of your resources that are on your desktop computer from a browser anywhere. So those are the main increases. We did have, I mean, I didn't really go into detail on the ones that are, smaller amounts. Our cybersecurity training and web renewal did increase by a few thousand. That's just because we had to update the website this year. We were supposed to be ADA compliant by April 2026, but they pushed that out to April 2027. So our entire website, every document, all our archives, everything has to be ADA compliant, meaning they have to be able to click on it, and it needs to be able to, whatever software they're using for, say, if they're blind and they have a reader software, that reader software has to be able to read every single thing on our webpage and every document. So that's one of the increases for the website. And if you see last night, we updated to the new website. So now we're going to be going with the new website. We have more ability to make it ADA compliant. We still have to go through thousands of documents on the website and make them ADA compliant. These minutes that are going to be published, those are going to have to be ADA compliant. Every scanned document will need to be able to be read. So we'll have to OCR every single thing that goes on the website, meaning it's got to be able to read the text. So crooked scanned documents, we're not going to be able to do that anymore. So that's one reason why instead of getting the Adobe Acrobat standard version, we are now getting the Adobe Acrobat Pro. So it gives every user the ability to OCR all their documents, use the web accessibility settings, the ADA accessibility settings, which aren't currently available in our standard version.
Randy, when you go down this list.
Yes, sir.
And just because we rely on your expertise to answer this very highly technical question that I'm about to ask. So my question is, when you go down here, what's a have to have versus nice to have?
There is no nice to haves. Every single thing on there is we absolutely need that. Remote, I mean,
Or we need.
those first two, Microsoft Renewal, Intune, we got to have that for Microsoft Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint. Intune is now a requirement, or I got to shut you guys' access to county resources down on your laptops and your phones. So I would say that's a requirement because we have to be compliant with this by our next CJIS audit, which could be in 2 months, could be in 2 years. They never tell us. They give us 2 weeks notice. Last 2 years, in 2025, they notified me 2 weeks before the sheriff's office audit. Took me 3 months to do the audit, complete it. Had to write 30 new policies because the CJIS policy, which is a giant manual, it used to be 10 years ago, it was 100 pages. 5 years ago, or actually up until 2 years ago, it was like 200 and something pages. Now it's 600 pages. So that's things that everyone in my department has to be familiar with 600 pages, and we have to make sure that everything that's in that is implemented, because the next time they come and audit us, if we don't abide by those and we're not in compliance, then they will take our CJIS access away. And there goes the courts, there goes the sheriff's office, there goes dispatch, everything. They lose access to anything with NCIC.
So when we say this is mandated, is this required by the state, or who's required?
Some of them are state required, especially with the new House bills on cybersecurity and AI. These are things that we have to implement to be compliant with the new House bills for, cybersecurity. Like, why take cybersecurity training if you don't have the things implemented to make sure that users can actually do that?
This is one area I don't think we can cut on spending, because Greenville got hit this past year, this year, last year, and the last few months.
Yeah.
Pretty hard. I think Rockwall got hit about the same
There's a
time.
lot of counties.
There's
We-
a lot
we-
of counties have been hit through the years, and so far, Brandon done a super job and has blocked everything so far, so we
So-
gotta give him the tools to be able to keep us safe from all this
Well,
cyberspace.
yeah, to speak to that.
I'm ready to go back to a bag phone.
Yeah, me too. But you should see my house, zero
I'm ready
technology.
to go back to no phone.
But to speak to that is.
I'm ready
is-
to go back to no phone.
Yeah, there you go.
Most counties, most government organizations that actually do get hit with ransomware and cyber attacks like that, they don't operate the same way we do. They operate in a way where they allow a lot of things, and once it's a problem, then they try to fix it. We operate in a zero trust environment, meaning I block everything, and then as it's needed, I allow it. And these are tools necessary to do that. So,
Well,
there-
kind of like what Gary was saying a while ago, Brandon, you know, you're the expert on this. You know what we need and protect us. And like everybody says, you've done a dang good job of it. But with IT stuff, it changes every year, it changes all the time, every month. So what
Yep.
do we need to make sure we stay protected versus what would be cool to have on an IT level that we don't understand? That's what
well, yeah,
we're trying-
that's, everything that's in this software repair and maintenance is absolutely necessary to continue protecting us. So if you'll see, I don't know if you see my last year's budget, but our remote support software was a little bit cheaper last year. Well, we have new encryption requirements this year. So I had to increase the security on how I remotely access y'all's computers, whether it's a laptop or a computer at your desktop. Because every year, encryption gets easier to break, and so the encryption requirements get heavier and heavier. Any more questions on 2235? Oh, actually, I do have one more request. This Microsoft 365 stuff and the Adobe, honestly think in years going forward, these should probably be moved over into 3105 because they are countywide used softwares like Odyssey, Encode, things like that. These, I think, would be a good candidate to move over into that line item because they're along the same lines. It's used by every single employee.
Bernice, you write that down?
So we can talk about that later, but I just wanted to bring it up while I was thinking about it. Because those are things that do not need to be in my budget. They would need to be in like a countywide software line item or account. Just those three highlighted those items that are in bold.
So but you would still manage them, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I still manage all the other
I'm
softwares
saying
that are not
including the
there.
cost and.
Absolutely. I would
terms
still be managing the quotes, the pricing for every year. That's all got to come through me anyway. And so usually I just work with the auditor's office or Bernice or whoever to provide cost for softwares if they're changing. If they're not changing, we let them go. Like this year, I think Odyssey increased last year, but I don't think we have an increase this year. And 2 years ago, they tried to increase it, but I had a battle with the Odyssey executives because that was probably one of the worst years of using Odyssey. They couldn't fix any of our problems. They refused to even work on some of them. So I said, look, we are absolutely not paying $60,000 more a year for this because you can't even fix what we're currently using. And so they pushed that off for another year, but we ended up, 2 years after that, we still have to pay it. But
So you said that you take care of all the software and stuff for the county?
most of it, as far as you need us to install any software on any computer, but there are some departments because every elected official is the owner of their data. So they get to say what happens with their data. If they want access to be an admin within their software, I can't say no because I don't own their data. I just manage it for them. So, and that's, I think it's for most elected officials, that's in the Texas Constitution where they own their data. So if someone says, hey, if Mary says, hey, I want to be an admin on Encode because it's the financial data that I own, I can't tell her no because it's her data.
So the tax office has its own
Yeah.
system. Are they hooked to us in any way?
Not at all. I ran the cables in that building when they remodeled that probably 25 years ago to help out the prior IT director here. And it was shortly after that that they decided they wanted their own IT firm because the IT department here in Hunt County was one man. And he just couldn't handle it. Same way with adult probation. They have their own IT guy. Juvenile probation did also, but in the last year, we actually moved juvenile probation over onto our network because they needed it so bad. And those are things we're not opposed to taking over now that we've got more people, but once we do it, it might require more people to do that. It's just.
I would encourage you, I was just, for
No, I mean,
clarity, I wanted to
it-
understand.
It would be nice to get everybody in Hunt County, all Hunt County employees on the same domain. Because if you see, like when you email all Hunt County, it goes to everyone that I manage. Then you have to go manually type in the tax office emails because they're not on our domain. So I really can't do anything with them. It would not, I mean, it would probably cost $30,000 just in infrastructure to add the tax office back to our domain. Of course, we might save some money because what they have in place may be compliant with what we are doing here. It may not be. I don't know. I've never seen their network, not in 20 years since I installed it.
I wouldn't encourage it, I was just wanting everybody to understand what it was.
Right.
Me in particular.
Well, I certainly, and I don't want to go down this rabbit trail, it's not what today's about, but the more we look at our total method of managing software and IT, I think it looks to more where your subject matter experts are the people keeping tabs on that software, keeping tabs on the changes. This morning, Mr. Weiner was talking about he has poor support. You know, I'd love to have somebody from IT engaging and saying, here's what the rules are, here's what they aren't. And if they're not supporting that, grabbing purchasing and saying we have a contract issue.
Right.
You know, I mean, and then managing the overall budget, you know, even though they might come out of a department, it's still knowing what the cost is, what the need is. I just really think that makes this department much more efficient and much more, provide much more expertise to how we manage software as a county, because when elected officials start managing software,
We're in trouble.
Yeah, we're in trouble. And
Yeah.
so, you know, that's another meeting, but,
And that's why I was kind of asking, do you manage all the software for the county?
Yeah, so there's a few that I don't, like y'all's PubWorks, I don't because that's a cloud-based software. I have no access to it. It's housed at PubWorks Server Center, wherever that is. The only access I would ever have to it would be to change usernames and passwords if you guys gave me a license.
well, we're about to transfer that to
Right.
G-Works the end of the year.
And I've had
And I
that meeting
believe-
with
I
them.
believe everybody here is going to be really excited about you being much more involved.
Oh, yeah.
So,
But no, y'all's software is,
Well, they
It
gonna be
would-
another line item up there then?
It would be. Now, we're paying for it now out of our budgets, but I think the management of that and overall transition of that, and then the future budget line item ought to roll over. I don't think anybody would have issue with
Well,
that.
y'all need to visit about that so we can get a number in the budget, either y'all's or his, one.
It's in ours.
It's-
It's in ours now.
Okay.
any more
I
questions?
personally think all IT should be with you.
Yeah, and is my microphone still on?
If you got an
No,
IT
I agree as far as software goes, because it's hard for us to track a lot of things, especially with a lot of new cloud softwares. And I'm just hearing here recently about departments, purchasing an online subscription. I mean, if it's an online subscription, I can't manage that if I don't know about it. That'd be something that'd be great to have access to the licensing. So whenever that person leaves, I can transfer the license to the new person or something. And when departments are doing that and it's not coming through me, I don't know if it's getting approved in Commissioner's Court or anything for them to go purchase the software, if they're just doing it on their own. But there's a few offices that do that. And it's always surprising for me to hear about it because it didn't go through me. But there's nothing for me to install most of the time because it's just a website they go to and they log in and they get it. So there's really nothing that I can do to stop them other than blocking the website. But
Well, it's where it needs to become a policy conversation.
Exactly.
This is how the county operates. Therefore, everybody's has to be compliant to the policy.
I wouldn't say we would have to take their ability to access the admin portions of their account, but someone else needs to be as an admin on there because people leave, get terminated all the time, and then I have no way to do it. We just got to let that expire, and then when the new person comes, sign up for a new one because we don't have access to it.
Can you give an example of one of those users? You don't have to use a name or anything. just
Yeah,
the type of
so,
serv-
for
what
example,
that looks like.
there's people who use them like Canva, for example, just a little online software for, it's kind of like a graphic design software. You pay for it. So they have a free version, then you can pay for a little bit better version. If they were to leave, I would never know that it existed, that we paid for it, because it's not in my line item. I didn't know they had it. And it's a website that they go to and use. So it's not like if it's a software that's installed on the computer when a new person comes, all that software goes to the new user. But if it's a website that they visit and they signed up for, I have no visibility into that without just searching through their internet history for the last year.
That doesn't sound like we ought to be allowing that.
No, because obviously if they leave, then they still have access to it. If it's
Exactly.
while
A lot of
so-
times it's personal emails they're setting it up with too. Of course, they could be in every single department, and I wouldn't know about it because it gets paid for on their credit card. It's just a website they're going to. That would need to be a definite policy change. And really, I mean, it is kind of laid out in the policy if you read it right. But it's something we've never really had to deal with in the past, so I think it needs to be spelled out a little bit better. And we are currently working on policy changes right now. For one, I have to add about 30 policies to our employee handbook for CJIS, just based off the new CJIS requirements this year. But I'm also modifying the computer policy that exists now to match today's standards.
Would that put our whole system at a greater risk? People logging into different or getting different?
That doesn't put our system at risk. It's not real ethical, especially if they bought it themselves and then still have access to it after they leave Hunt County. But websites really aren't a risk to us unless it's a malicious website. But we have things in place that do pretty good at blocking that. We don't really have viruses in Hunt County. I mean, not since my first year here when I said, we're not using this virus software anymore. Here's a better one. We haven't had any viruses. But that takes constant manipulation of our antivirus policies because things change so much. We have to modify them almost weekly just to mitigate any new threats that come along.
Okay?
All right, next. So this is just a breakdown of what I just talked about. Basically, I've already explained all that. So here's 2236. It's my hardware repair and maintenance line item. Everything's about the same in there. The Vertiv maintenance contract renewal, that's something we pay every year. It did get a little more expensive this year just because their prices went up. And what that is, the Vertiv maintenance contract renewal is our server room air conditioner. That's what keeps the server room cool. We pay for 2 maintenance visits a year from Vertiv. Vertiv doesn't come out themselves. They usually send out a local contractor to do that. We also have a giant UPS battery backup that's like 8 foot tall in the server room. It's for when the power goes out. Those batteries keep the server room up until the generator comes on. And the next one that Vertiv maintains is the generator, which is actually located on the roof outside of Kelly Aiken's courtroom, which is fun to get to. But they come out and maintain that twice a year just to make sure if we're iced over, power goes out, that thing boots up. So,
How long will it run?
It'll run as long as I'm pouring diesel in it. It'll run. I've got six 5-gallon gas cans up there inside of a storage container. We're down to about 3 now. Probably gonna need to go recycle that and get new because diesel doesn't last forever. Some years, we go through 6 tanks of diesel. Like in 2021, 2022, we went a whole week running that server room off of a generator. So it's just like a diesel just sitting there idling in your driveway for a week straight. So
What
WatchGuard.
was the decibel level of that? Never mind.
I'm not going to get into that.
He had to ask a question, didn't he?
So the WatchGuard firewall rule renewals, that's about the same every year. That's just a significant line item, so I thought I'd put it up there. We have 17 sites, the courthouse being the main site, and then all of the other buildings, and even the Celeste Radio Tower now has a firewall at it for the L3 Harris radios. That's $25,000. That really hasn't changed, but I do have in my technology upgrades line item, which I'm going to get to here in a minute, I do have additional funds requesting to upgrade some of the WatchGuard firewalls to match the needs for these multi-factor authentication tokens. So whenever they're multi-factor authenticating, they're authenticating outside the network into the network, and the first line of defense there is our WatchGuard firewall, so it has to be able to be compatible not only with our internal network, but the firewall protecting the network. And so, like I said earlier, with Intune, we will be using MFA tokens. The reason for the tokens is a physical device. There's multiple kinds. We'll decide which one we need when the time comes. But it's about $14,000, and these are for people who cannot use a phone at work. Would be all the jailers. They're not allowed to have their phones at work, so they cannot multi-factor authenticate to a mobile device. So they have to have a physical hardware token. Some of them look like a stopwatch. You know, it's giving a new code every 30 seconds, and that actually ties back to our firewall. And so whenever they're logging in to their account or to their Microsoft account, it's going to ask them to multi-factor authenticate. We'll have to configure the token, the specific token, to work for that person. It's something they have to carry around with them when they're at work, put around their neck, in their pocket. But jail employees are not allowed to have their phones on them. So the only way for them to multi-factor authenticate is with a physical token, which could be a YubiKey, which you plug into the USB, or a little WatchGuard device that has a little code on it that refreshes every 30 minutes. And there's key cards, fobs, all kinds of things. But that's necessary for jail employees, and then the WatchGuard firewalls are necessary for that to authenticate. The next one, NetMotion. That is the VPN that every sheriff's office deputy uses. What it does is it takes their mobile laptop, which has a SIM card in it, and once they sign into the VPN, it allows them to be basically physically on our domain like they're plugged into a desktop computer. It creates an encrypted connection between their device and our network. So it's like they're sitting at their desk, you know, the same way you guys sit at your desk and have full access. That's what those are for. And we're also required to have a third method of authentication for those devices as well. So NetMotion, well, when you log into a NetMotion laptop, you log in just like you're regularly logging into your Windows computer. Then it pops up a NetMotion login. But because that is not a different method of logging in, meaning username and password, that is no longer compliant for CJIS. So in the past, because it was a separate login, that was allowed to be your third method of authentication. But because now they require us to have different types of authentication. So you have to log in with username and password, and then you got to log in with either security token or an app. So that would be the second level. And then once you access the county resources on the laptop, you're going to get the same multi-factor authentication we all get for our desktop computers when you're logging into anything Microsoft.
Brandon, just for clarity on the numbers that you have out there, is that increasing it by that much?
No, NetMotion's pretty much that every year. Now, unless the sheriff's office gets new employees, additional, we will have to increase that. That 11,000 is about what it is. It's usually around 10 to 11,000 every year, just because we add and subtract 1 or 2 licenses here and there, just depending on how many employees they have. And my department also uses that same software for whenever we are accessing things off-site, just to make sure we have because we are admins, we're able to access the whole network, so we have to have an encrypted VPN connection, which means the content we're working on is encrypted, it's encrypted in transit, and it's encrypted at rest on the other side. So that's pretty much the standard go-to for law enforcement agencies as far as VPN goes. But yeah, that really hasn't changed. It's just there just because it's a significant amount, more than $10,000. Operating supplies. Now this is increased by about, let's see. about $11,000. And the only reason that's increased is because, one, I had to increase the voice and data cabling line by 5,000, just because we have so many facilities that have ancient cabling. Like this building, my grandfather cabled this building in like 1983, 84, and a lot of that cabling's still here.
That's when it was opened, in
Yeah.
83.
And then the sheriff's office, me and my uncle cabled that building 25 years ago. And since then, our internet speed has increased above to what the maximum that cable allows. We now have gigabit speed at the courthouse and sheriff's office. For any cable that's older than a few years, 5 years, over there, can't even hit that speed if they wanted to. But we have the ability to with proper cabling in place, and that's most of our facilities. So I'm increasing that by 5,000 just so we can steadily upgrade as necessary. And that's in my 5-year plan. It's probably going to take 5 years to get every cable up to speed. And then the only other increase really is the office equipment. I increased that by a few thousand, by 5,000 or 6,000, just because we've been told that we may be moving into a new office in the new year. And because right now we're in an office the size of y'all's area right there with 4 people. So we will need to, purchase furniture, buy benches, work benches, more tools so that we can all work independently on our own desks instead of all be crowded around one workstation. So if we do not get a new office in the new budget year, we will not need $8,000 for office equipment and supplies. Any questions on that? That's just a breakdown of the cabling. It's replacing existing Cat 3 and Cat 5 with new Cat 6 cable. 3420. This is a line item that usually fluctuates too, just based on the needs for that year. Last year, my replacement PCs that we needed, I think I only bought like 25 last year just because we had so many projects that I knew we were not going to be able to replace a lot of computers. But typically, I try to replace 50 to 75 computers a year, just because if I do it at that rate, that means all 450 computers we have get updated every 5 years. Just because if it lasts longer, if a computer's there longer than 5 years, it does not meet the security requirements that we're required to abide by.
What do we do with the computers when it's time to replace them?
Well, the old ones. So we take them, they're stacked in my hallway right now, but we have a company called STS Recycling that comes in and recycles them. We actually have our own hard drive destroyer on site. So if it's an elected official or a hard drive of someone who we may need to retain the data for, we'll retain those hard drives for the required retention period, 5 to 7 years. But otherwise, if we transfer the data off of the hard drive, we just destroy it right there. But yeah, the recycling company, like we're scheduled to have a recycle now because my hallway's so full, it's about to be in my walkway.
Well, I didn't know if there was a way to wipe the computers clean and
No, yeah,
maybe
we
like Boys and Girls Club or something like that for the kiddos to be able to have.
Yeah, so we wipe every hard drive. We have hardware that plugs into the hard drive, wipes it, does a DoD compliant wipe, and then hard drives destroyed. And then the computers, most of them are still usable, but we can't sell them, or we can auction them, or we can't. So we just have a recycling company come out and get them just to get them out.
Donate them to a group like that where kids or somebody like that could benefit the use of them.
I mean, that would be a question for you guys. If there's something y'all wanted to donate them to, as long as we get them out of my way, because we have nowhere to store things. I mean, if y'all ever walk by my hallway, y'all see a shelf with nothing but old computers stacked up there. But
Well, we can check on that and see.
Yep.
That's a good idea.
what I do with them is the quickest way to get them out of my way.
Sure.
So.
Understand.
Panasonic Toughbook laptops. This was just at the request of the sheriff's office. They plan on needing 4 new ones. A couple of them are to replace out-of-date law enforcement laptops, just meaning their processors and their RAM doesn't meet the specs needed for the new CAD software that the officers are using. And those are like $3,500 a piece, so that's where $14,000 comes in for 4 laptops. We got 30 laptops just for standard county employees that don't need the tough books. We have 30 of those that need to be replaced in order for us to implement Intune and Microsoft Entra to manage the devices. They're just older operating systems that aren't compatible with the Windows 11. So we have to get those updated, which every county computer needs to be on Windows 11 anyway, because Windows 10 is end of life. So that's a necessity. If people want to use laptops, we have to get them done by the end of this year. So that's like a last day of December project deadline. Monitor replacements. So for all the new computers we're putting in, we're running into a lot of computers that do not have, or a lot of monitors that don't have HDMI or HDMI capability, and all the new computers require HDMI connections. Otherwise, I'd have to build them with an older, or request them to build them with older video technology, which would even cost us more. So it's cheaper to get the computer the way it comes and upgrade the monitors for $200-300 a piece. So that's not an absolute necessity, but we need them to put new computers. So if someone has an old monitor and we got to give them a new computer, we got to put a new monitor there. So that's basically, if y'all have any questions about any of the line items, because I was going to go into something else after that, any of the purchases. So this is what our county network looks like. Every site here has a firewall. Every one of those firewalls has a VPN connection back to the courthouse. Some of them may not be secure VPNs. That's one of the things that we want to upgrade this year. If they're not a secure VPN, that just means they're not law enforcement or judicial or utilizing any software that contains CJIS information. But we would like to have every firewall upgraded to a secure connection to the courthouse anyway, just so it makes it easier for us to manage them. And if we're remoting in, say, Gary, if you're out at your office and we remote into your computer, we're remoting in with an unsecure connection until you get a secure firewall in place, which we don't like to do because then that opens up a socket from your office to mine. Any virus you may have on your computer can now travel across an unsecure connection. So that's some of the firewall upgrades we're going to do this year. But that's basically what our network looks like. We have 17 sites. Everything is centrally managed, but every single site has the ability to be standalone. They have their own internet connection. They can go out to the internet without coming through to the courthouse and back out. Now there are a lot of traffic that they use that we do filter through the courthouse or sheriff's office firewall based on the type of traffic. If it's CJIS information has to come back to the firewall at the courthouse, then to the sheriff's department before it can access DPS or NCIC. So that's the layout of our network. These are the levels of defense that we have. So if you sit at your computer and you use email, email is protected before it ever even gets to us. So if someone sends you an email, it stops by our Sophos email gateway in the cloud first, then it comes to our firewall, comes through the switches, then to the device. The last line of defense is the human firewall, and that's where usually problems happen. We can protect everybody as much as we want, but if people make mistakes, give out their passwords, do things they're not supposed to do, then there's nothing we can do. If someone has your username and password, they can do what they want with it. So we try to prevent that as best as we can with policies and training, but we'll never be able to be 100% as long as humans exist.
So Brandon, does that include, back to the example of sitting out at the barn? So the email still comes through your firewall to get to me even though it's out there. So you're not at risk if you're using email out there versus at the courthouse.
So what your computer has out there, for one, you're accessing your email. It comes through our Sophos email gateway. Then it goes through the Microsoft email gateway before it ever comes to your Outlook. But your computer, while it may not be behind an enterprise firewall, you're still behind a firewall, but your device that you're using has Sophos antivirus protection on it, which we do manually manage centrally. So any policies, anything that's happening on your computer is still managed by a policy because the software, antivirus software is installed on your computer, and it talks back to the cloud, which talks back to us. So it's called Sophos Central. Everything's managed in the cloud, so it can see everything, whether it's on our network or not, as long as the software is installed and it's licensed. So speaking of firewalls, these are the firewall threats that we have. This is just a 30-day period. So from June 16th to yesterday, I pulled this directly from our firewall yesterday and posted it on here. So we have 6.7 million things that are being denied by our firewall every 30 days, with 202,000 attempts to hack us every single day. 202,000 attempts. Wow. So these are things that change every single day. As technology advances, we have to go in there and figure out what method they're using, how they're trying to access our network, and then we have to mitigate it by creating new policies, increasing security, or just blocking everything like what we usually do, and then only allow what's necessary. So, the next page, this right here is a 10-second snippet. In 10 seconds, these are the amount of people that we are denying from access. And these are not just random things. These are targeted attacks. Because I can go back a page. You can see the Telnet most targeted services, 331,000. That means someone is physically creating a connection from them to us. It's not a random attack. So most of our attacks are targeted. They're trying to get in, trying to get our data. They want to data mine us, and then they want to sell us our data back. And this is how we defend against ransomware. If they can't get in, they can't hold any of our data ransom, and they can't try to get money from us. We did have a ransom attack 5-6 years ago. Our firewall and our antivirus blocked the attack, but it allowed the text file with the ransom letter through. So the only thing that's ever got through my network is a ransom letter. And we got to read the ransom letter, but obviously our firewall blocked the software that was trying to hold the files ransom. So that's as close as we've ever come, but we are a lot more protected now than we were then. These are our email threat statistics. And this is a 30-day period from June 16th to July 15th. I pulled this directly from our email firewall yesterday. 86,000 emails came into our network or into our users' mailboxes. 29,000 of them were potential threats. And every single day that number increases. Every single day we have to look at all of these threats and determine what can they do to our network? Is it actually being blocked? And then we have to look at the new ones that actually aren't being blocked and to determine if they are some sort of threat, if they are malicious, if they can steal credentials, if they can steal session tokens. And then we have to go put policies in place to stop that. This is ongoing. This is something that I do until midnight almost every night, looking at our firewall and email firewalls. The day I stop doing it is the day we start getting hacked. And then this is just to show the increased workload that we have taken on in the last year. In 2025, as you see on the bottom left, we had a total of 1,474 help desk tickets. We are halfway through the year now, and we are already at 1,000, which is a 30% increase over 2025. And yes, AI did create this for me, this one. But this is just to show the increased workload. As everyone's systems get better, as everyone implements new systems, new radios, new software, new AV systems, our workload continues to increase. The only problem is if we wanted more people, we don't have anywhere to put them. Even in the new office space that we have, we wouldn't have room for new people. But there's always a need every single year.
Hey, what's driving the help desk? I mean, you're 30% increase, but we don't have that kind of headcount growth in the county.
No, we just have more needs because of more software is in place, more systems in place. A lot of it's been the new CAD systems, the new radio systems, or a lot of it's the new multi-factor authentication needs, and just people don't know how to use the computer very well. Yeah. And that's one of the biggest things is as our technology advances, the way people use it doesn't. And so everyone just needs more help. The more systems we put in place, the more we're going to have to help them. Because we're the ones sitting there learning how to do all this stuff brand new every day. It's not like, if we implement something new tomorrow, we don't know how to do it today, but we go figure it out so we can show y'all how to do it, We don't have some special class we go to teach us how to use all the new stuff. We just got to sit there and put it in a test environment and test it, learn how to do it before we implement it for you guys. That being said, here's my salary review. I polled about 12 different counties. Hunt County is approximately 123,000 right now. That may not be an official census number, but that's about where we're at. We serve about 400 employees, and we serve 17 facilities. That's 17 different networks, individual networks that we have to serve. And as you know, there's our current salaries. Those haven't changed in a couple years. And here's the salary review of other counties. Now, I did 5 counties that are a little bit bigger than us and 7 counties that are less than us. And Hunt County, you can see, is right there in the middle. We have 5 IT staff with a total salary of $386,925, with a max salary of $98,175. And you can see how that compares to other counties. Even smaller counties were lower than them, just about all of them, except the 2 smallest counties on this list. And I can provide you guys with this stuff if you need it. And here's kind of the average. So the average population of everyone on this list here, the average population is 116,908. Hunt County is 5% higher than that. The average facilities served by all the counties are 17. We are right at that even. The average IT staff size is 8 for all these other counties, and we are at 5, which is a 37.5% smaller staff. And then the average county IT salary is $612,552. Hunt County is at $386,925, which is 36.8% less than all the other counties polled. So I can provide you guys with all this information. That's just in my budget request, in my 5-year plan, or I think my official request was a 15% increase for my department. Now, that doesn't mean I want to give everyone 15%. That means I want to have the ability and the incentive for my guys, because I expect a lot. I expect the highest standard of excellence from them, and I expect the highest level of integrity from them. And if you guys have dealt with any of them, you see they do a great job. Every person in my department came to my department with 0 IT experience. They've all been trained by me, and they are all able to go now anywhere. They can go work for any IT department anywhere from the training they've received here and make way more money. I've had, in the last 10 years, I know at least 3 guys that have left here, and they're now making way more than me, and they had 0 experience before they were trained by me as well. So I know money may be tight. It's a touchy subject, but I wouldn't be doing my due diligence for my department because they work hard, and I expect a lot out of them, and I get a lot out of them. And I'm going to continue expecting that. But with no incentive for them, it's kind of hard for me to expect them to stay here. And for me to train a new person takes about 1.5 years. And every day that I'm spending training a new employee is a day that I'm not fighting those threats that are coming into our county through email, through our firewall, through our computers. So I would just urge you guys, we may be getting across the board raises. That's fine, but I want to have the ability to give performance-based raises in my department, to give them more incentive, because I ask a lot of them, and I want to keep asking a lot of them because we need it. Without us, we're in trouble. So
do you have goals, expectations, measurement tools, and quarterly reviews with those folks to be able to have a performance-based system?
I have daily talks with each one of them. I have
not daily, here's the job and here's what I need you to do.
But absolutely no. When we do have the ability to give raises, I was doing semi-annual performance reviews with expectations and questions for them to say, do you think you've met this? And I already know if they've met the expectation or not, because I'm monitoring their work every single day. Whether they know it or not, I know what they're doing and I know how good they are. And I talk to department heads all the time that praise them, or I've really not heard a reprimand from anybody for my department. But yes, I absolutely have a way to measure. I mean, for one, I have the help desk statistics. You can close that.
He was going to put that salary thing
No,
back up there.
I have a way to look back and see what every single employee did through our help desk ticketing system. I can tell the percentage of tickets they've done, what type of tickets they've done, and what they needed help on.
So you have the ability to measure.
Absolutely.
And because of that, you can set an expectation of what should be.
Oh,
done.
absolutely. Even if I don't have a way to measure it physically with a spreadsheet, I know what they should be doing, and I know if they're meeting that or not, and I can record that. Especially if I have money, incentive money, to give incentive raises, which I know. I mean, the economy we're in, that's a hard thing to ask for. But I would definitely have a way to put that in place, because I already basically do, but I just know there's just no money there to give them. So.
Well, so I appreciate the honesty, right?
Yeah.
And I appreciate the data, by the way. It at least gives a little more insight in the department. But for us to evolve to that, it also means we have to change the way we budget, and we have to change the way we issue, and we have to change the way we manage employees, which I agree. We need to try and do that. Let those that want to excel, and those that want to come to work and go home, come to work and go home.
Absolutely.
And it's important, but it's difficult to just flip a switch on that. We have to change the whole infrastructure of how we operate, but I
Right.
think it's a need.
Well, if you've been around long enough, you've probably seen quite a few people come in and go in my department, because there is a specific type of person that can do this job. I don't care what your degree looks like. I don't care what your training looks like. There's a specific type of person and a mindset that can do this job, pick it up and run with it. And I have those guys now, finally. I've had guys with 15 years experience with master degrees in computer technology, and I've had to fire them because they come in entitled, they come in with a bad work ethic, and they come in with bad habits that I can't undo. But I've taken the guys that I have now, taught them the right way. You know, they have great work ethic. If you've ever talked to any of my guys, they'll be up here in a second. You know, he's been up here for commissioners' courts at night after working all day and all day the day before and the next morning. I don't know. I know I want to fight for my guys because they deserve it. They work hard, and they do a lot more than they're worth right now. And that's just me being honest. So that's all I have. You have any questions?
Thank you, Brandon.
You're welcome.
All right. Y'all need a break, or y'all want to talk about the road deal real quick, or is that going to be a lengthy discussion about the road crews?
Thought it was done. What do we need to talk about?
Well, it's on my list.
Yeah, it's,
Oh, okay.
it was dissolved Tuesday.
Okay. Well, I thought you had something else. It was on my list, so I wasn't going to neglect y'all.
It is a reduction for 26, 27 reduction budget.
Okay. Well, that's fine. All right. Anything else? We good?
We're good.
So we're talking about the 24th meeting, the meeting on the 24th?
About,
Well, the only person I have that said they could be here was County Court Law 2. But I'm not having good luck with the district judges. I mean, it's almost impossible to get them. They are so busy.
Do we need to stay after hours so they?
we'll work on it. So the 24th is Friday week, tomorrow week? Is that right?
We can do one, and then the 31st is sheriff's office.
Right. All right. Being nothing else?
So we only have one person coming the 24th?
Yeah, so I don't know, I can't get anybody else unless y'all wanna do y'all's, unless we wanna do, facilities, exchange building,
Can we do all that? Ours and the sheriff's department, is that the only ones you have left?
yes, the commissioners and sheriff's, and then we have elections, which I don't think we're gonna do anything with that. One of
36, 34, County Court Law 1, County Court Law 2, Facilities, the Exchange Building, County Judge, all the commissioners, and Sheriff's Office.
I'd rather do ours with the sheriff on the same day.
That's the 31st.
Yeah. Because we're going to conference all next week, and then we don't really have a chance to prepare for being here Friday.
Have tomorrow.
Yeah.
So no 24th?
I mean, if nobody's coming except one person, I don't see why we need to have it.
Yeah, I just cancel it.
I haven't posted it or anything. That was just the dates the only dates we had available to do it, because y'all are all gone next week. So Friday was the closest one we could do. So we'll definitely do the 31st.
Yeah, I just do the commissioners and sheriff at least on that 31st.
All right. Anything
I
else?
may not be in town.
Entertain a motion to adjourn. Vote.
Go ahead.
I'll do yours for you.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned at 11:30.